Despite the physical absence of our Bhagwan, Swami continues to inspire, transform, and guide our day-to-day lives. As the alumnus of Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, as recipients of divine educare, we have been blessed by his proximity, by his unfailing guidance, and above all, his all-encompassing love. On this occasion of Aaradhana Mahotsavam, we, the Region 3 Anantapur students, gratefully reminisce the experiences at the campus, Swami's teachings, and celebrate the unbreakable, eternal bond with the avatar of love. Shared here are a few such sweet memories of that nourishing love and constant grace that has touched our lives, brought us together in this euphoric joy from heavens above. Swami, this offering is at thy lotus feet.
The first educational institution set up by Swami was a campus for women in Anantapur. During the groundbreaking ceremony, Swami arrived at Anantapur with a group of devotees. Swami was requested to point out where to do the markings for the building to come up. Swami called on one of the devotees from the group. He happened to be the husband of Professor Hemalata, who went on to serve as the principal of the Anantapur campus in the years to come. So Swami called on her husband and asked him to go to the entrance near the main road, pick up a stone, and throw it as far as he possibly could. Now, this devotee happened to be the tallest and the strongest in the group, and Swami had asked him to throw it with all his might. He did as he was instructed, and then Swami called on the group of devotees and he said, "Go 50 feet further away from this spot, and that is where I want the building to come up." Many in the group did not understand what the point of this exercise was, but several years later, everybody understood. There were demonstrations nearby, riots when there were disturbances, and Swami wanted to keep the girls in the Anantapur campus safe, and he wanted to protect us. That was his love and grace as a divine mother and a benevolent father. During my time as a Sai student in the 90s, there was a period of time that when we could not have Swami's darshans often, because Swami spent a lot of time in the Vrindavan campus that year, and Vrindavan is much further away from Anantapur than Puttaparthi is. We were waiting for the divine call. Our prayers intensified. Some of the girls were doing Gayatri chanting. We were doing extended bhajan sessions. And our prayers really intensified during that period, and we were waiting for the call, which came one evening. And when our warden announced it, we were so ecstatic. And we were told to pack very, very little luggage because Swami had said he would accommodate us in the Kalyana Mandapam, right next to his residence in Trai. And we were all very careful. We said, "Swami, anything you give, we will accept it as your prasadam." And we were very excited. However, there were some political disturbances at that time, and transportation was very hard to come by. Public transportation was just not running at that time, and even private transportation was very difficult to secure. We were wondering, how is Swami Sankalpa going to come true? He has called us. How are we going to make this journey? Then Swami had sent 10 buses with a security guard in each bus to keep us safe. Needless to say, we arrived in Vrindavan and we were ecstatic that we could have Swami's darshan. Swami took us to the Kalyana Mandapam and made sure that we were comfortable and safe there. We had prepared a few songs to offer to Swami, and one of the songs to offer to Swami as the love of 1,000 mothers. And we were practicing loudly so Swami could hear it in his residence. We thought Swami, if he'd given us a chance, we could sing it to him inside the Kalyana Mandapam. Swami did come, and we quickly prepared the area for him. We set up a little altar, carpet and a chair, and we arranged everything for him. Swami came and said, "I heard you all practicing the song, the one about the love of 1,000 mothers. I want you to sing your songs, not here, but in Rasai Ramesh Hall, in the building outside." We were not prepared for a performance, and Swami wanted us to sing in front of all the devotees, the contingent of devotees. So, there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of stress. We didn't even have some of the musical instruments. We had just arrived there with a harmonium and a dholak and some very basic instruments. For a music performance inside Ramesh Hall, we would need a lot more than that. So we went to the boys' hostel next door and we borrowed some of their instruments. And quickly we rehearsed so everything would be done. There was no mic practice, time for mic practice, anything like that. But we just left it to Swami and prayed that Swami will sing through us. That evening, we sang to Swami with all of our hearts. We sang the songs calling to him as a mother and a father. And I think on that day, each and every one of us truly felt that Swami was our divine mother and father. That is his love and grace. In the year 1999, the teachers of the Anantapur campus had realized that it had been over a decade since Swami had visited the campus. So they decided we have to do something radical to get Swami's attention. So what they did, they decided to do a Padayatra from Anantapur all the way to Puttaparthi. And later on, they realized, okay, we'll do the last 15 kilometers. Let's walk the last 15 kilometers as a Padayatra. Just walk by foot and have Swami's darshan. So they arrived just after morning bhajans. And one of the teachers, the senior teachers, tried to get Swami's attention and she prayed to Swami. And she said, Swami, memandar nadchikonu vacham, Swami. Swami, we've walked and come to have your darshan. She said it very humbly. Swami turned to the group of teachers and he said, Bangaru, nadchikon ravakkarledu, Swami batallo nadiste chalu. My dear one, it is not necessary for you to walk long distances to come and see me and to worship me. Walk in the path Swami has given. That is what will make me happy. On this Aaradhana Day, may we all remember that this is Swami's message to us, to walk in the path that he has shown us.
There's a lot of physical proximity with Bhagwan. We had a lot of group interviews. We also had seen a lot of miracles, very wonderful, beautiful, and the greatest miracle that we have always felt is his love. There is no doubt about it. But whatever it was, I had the feeling that there was no personal touch. I wanted more. I just wanted more. So after I graduated, I had this intense desire that Swami should materialize something for me. And this happened in 2001 that I really wanted to see Bhagwan. Intense desire was there. I started getting up early in the morning. I did Suprabhatam for a week or two, and then Swami came in my dream, and then he materialized Vibhuti in the dream in Vrindavan. So I was like, Swami, I think this is a call for me to come to Vrindavan. So immediately I packed and I got a ticket to Bangalore and I went to Vrindavan. Thankfully I had all the ex-students were there and I requested somebody to register. And then finally on the 8th day, I had a couple of more days in Vrindavan, and I was thinking, oh Swami, I had this desire that you will be materializing something for me, and you came in my dream and you told me that you will be giving me Vibhuti, and this has to happen. So I prepared myself to sit for blessing. And I had this vision. It was not a dream, it was a vision where Swami came and he said, when I come near you, just say prasadam. And it felt so good. It was like a beautiful feeling when Swami, it was a vision, right, of Swami there right in front of you. And then I told the security Akka, I want to sit for darshan, for blessing today, because in a couple of days I have to go back to Delhi. There for blessing, and Swami was coming from far, and then from there itself he just did like this and asked me, what do you want? Then I remembered the dream. I said, Prasadam Swami, and he nodded back and he said something in Telugu which I don't know what it is, and that means we had a one-on-one conversation. Immediately he materialized the Vibhuti for me and he gave it in my hand, and then he wiped with my handkerchief that I had. He didn't take it from the volunteers who were walking beside him. He took it from me, he wiped it there, he blessed all of my pictures, he took all the letters, and then he went by. So this was the most amazing experience, because he fulfilled all my desires in just one go.
Swami says, knowledge when skilled leads to balance, which in turn provides insights about the application of knowledge for the benefit of society. He therefore desired that all his students should possess the head of Shankara that symbolizes knowledge leading to wisdom, the hands of Janaka that symbolizes knowledge translated to skills for societal benefit, and the heart of Buddha that symbolizes compassion to balance the head with the hands.
It was in the year 2000 that Swami began the annual Gram Seva in Prashantanilayam. So Gram Seva is basically village service where the food and clothes are distributed to all the villagers in and around Puttaparthi. Wanted everyone to receive the prasadam of both the food and the clothes, and they would go, hut to hut, knocking on the doors and distributing the food to them. So it was in the year 2000 that Swami had given a discourse, and before he began the Gram Seva, Swami had given a discourse, and it was a very emotional discourse in which Swami mentioned that he had picked up the newspaper and he had seen that he had read that there was one mother who was unable to feed herself and her son, and not even one square meal a day, and in that agony she decided to take the extreme step of taking both their lives, and that had touched Swami very deeply. And he said that India, Bharat, is a land of great prosperity, both spiritual and materialistic, and in such a land where great souls have lived and great avatars have come and gone, in such a land there should never be a dearth and there should never be such misery. And Swami was very emotional, and he said that I want you all, my students, to go from village to village, to knock door to door and distribute food and clothes to all the people around, and you should take part very actively in this service. And he even asked all the students, are you all ready to be part of this service, to be part of this activity? And very enthusiastically we all raised our hands and we said yes, Swami. In the year 2002, Swami had mentioned that year the Gram Seva would be optional. Stayed back in the dormitory to be part of the Gram Seva, and a few students were living outside in Prashantanilayam and Puttaparthi as well with their parents. So attendance would always be taken for any activity, because Swami would sometimes ask how many people participated or how many be taken, how many have, who has come, who has not come, and all of those things. So the attendance sheets were always maintained by our warden. So then at the end of the 2 weeks, Swami was very, very happy with all of us. Warden and Swami asked, how many students participated in the Gram Seva? So she said, Swami asked how many students participated on all the days of the Gram Seva. Swami varying numbers, Swami, and most students participated on all the days. Then Swami asked, why varying numbers? Right? You should have how many students participated on all the days of the Gram Seva. Then she went around, she had to cross-check so many attendance sheets, and she had to cross-check with faces and everything, and then she gave a number to Swami. And then Swami said, only those who have served on all the days of the Gram Seva will get the sari. And Pushpa madam, she said, Swami, 1 or 2 days children have missed, they are staying outside sometimes. And Swami said, but they have to still come on time. So Swami said this very important thing. He said that Seva, service, should be done from the source and not by force. It has to come from the source. And one cannot force anyone to be there, to do the service. And he said, it is not by one's convenience that one should do service. It should be above and beyond that. And one has to identify themselves with the other person, as if, the God that is within me is also there in the other person. And he has to feel that kindness and compassion towards the other person. And it is with that feeling of love that one should engage in service. And Swami said that only those who have participated on all the days of the Gram Seva can get the sari. And he said only that service that is done with such love and dedication truly touches him, truly reaches him. And of course, Swami, and this is the sari that Swami gave to all the students who participated that year. And of course, he never disappoints everyone. So within about 2 or 3 weeks, again Swami, his mother He is the mother of all. So he, within 2-3 weeks, he distributed saris and gave Pan Namaskar to all the
I'm going to be
students.
sharing a little bit about how Swami helped me become self-reliant. So, giving a little background, I was born as an only child in a family, in a big household full of adult members. My great-grandma, my grandma, my grandma's younger sister, so we call it Chitti Party. So they all lived with us, with me and my father. So I was not allowed to do anything in the house. So I, not having a practice of doing much on my own, just being a listening party, my self-confidence levels were not too great when I actually completed my high schooling. I also struggled with attention deficiency, which was not actually diagnosed at the time, but I would lose my focus very easily, get distracted, and so that added, compounded to the fact of already not having the experience of doing many things on my own. So when we came to Swami's college, one of the most beautiful things is the schedule. So Swami had a beautiful schedule for all the students in Anantapur College. So we had to be in the Suprabhadam by 5:30, followed by getting ready for college, and the breakfast time will be over by 7:30, and then you are supposed to line up right outside the hostel campus to walk to the college premises. The system is actually what is prescribed by many medical professionals today for special needs children. So that worked great for me because that stipulated system helped me to organize myself. And then the next year, Swami actually took it up a notch. One day, Gemma madam, our warden madam, actually called me and she said, I want you to start serving lunch. I want you to become the lunch in charge for rice serving. And now that not just I'm managing myself, I'm learning to, start doing something in a responsible way, taking ownership and responsibility. And she trained me very beautifully, and she was very particular. My sisters who were in Anantapur would know, she would not like people serving multiple times. So it has to be one scoop, you take the rice, you serve, and then you move on. So it has to be done perfectly the first time, and the rice should not break. You have to start clearing only from one end of the rice. She had a lot of conditions. So again, through those things, Swami helped me to take ownership of activities and work on them. And then the final year, they made me the line in charge. So I had to ensure that all the students had left the hostel, locked the hostel, and ensure that the students were walking in a proper line to the college. So little by little, Swami actually moved up my training and helped me to break the old habits and the fear that I had, and supported me through various members in Anantapur to become more and more self-reliant. And one additional personal experience I have is usually when we go to Parthi and we all sit on the lines and we get Pada Namaskar, usually some of my sisters would have something to ask him. I never had anything to ask him. So I wondered, how do I get an opportunity to talk to him? So in the final year, actually, what Swami did is he was distributing saris. He skipped me and he just walked over. And then I suddenly realized I didn't get a sari. So I was like, Swami, and then he very smilingly turned and said, Amy, kavala. So those little things, the assurances and him being with me all the time, today has really given me a growth opportunity to lead an entire organization here in the United States. I'm very thankful for Swami for all the self-reliance he has imbibed in me. Thank you.
I would like to share my experience being in charge of the sector at Self-Reliance. In this Self-Reliance, the volunteers cook bland food for the sick inmates of the hostel, give them hot water, give permission to the roommates to take food for the sick girls. During the Parthi visit, the in-charges have more responsibilities as they have to take care of the sick girls and take them to the hospital, get them food from the canteen, and many more. Me and my friends made up our mind to make Swami happy with our selfless service to the sick girls in the hostel. To be honest, I picked up my cooking skills by cooking for others in this self-reliance activity. I learned to cook double boiled rice. It is basically double cooking the rice as it would get really soft for the sick girls to eat. I also learned to make bland curries, herbal concoctions to get rid of cold. I also learned to take care of sick girls in the hostel with love and empathy. We have to be very mindful of the quantity of rice and curries we cook. Otherwise, we volunteers have to eat the extra leftovers. As you all know, food cannot be wasted. That's how I learned to cook the right quantity for my family now, or for any other family occasion, as we were taught the value of food and were not allowed to waste even a morsel during our stay in hostel. When we went to ashram, sick diet in charges were the ones who were allowed to go to the different canteens to get food for the sick girls. We learned to put others first before we thought of ourselves or satisfy our needs and hunger. As a blessing to all these sacrifices I chose to make, Swami blessed me with wonderful opportunities where I was allowed to help our in-charge teacher to prepare food for Swami's lunch while in Parthi. The first dish I prepared for Swami was fruit salad. I was once blessed to sweep and mop the Purnachandra auditorium dais where the Veda Purusha Sapta Jnana Yajna was taking place during Navratri. The most blessed and cherished moment was when Swami walked up and down the dais. Couple of times on the side I had swept and mopped that day. This kind of opportunities are never given to students, as the Seva bells are always put in place to take care of such tasks. That particular day when I got the opportunity, it was just me and my friend cleaning and preparing the whole dais for the yajna. As the outgoing senior from the Sikh diet Self-Reliance, we prepared diamond-shaped savories for Swami and sent it through our teachers. Swami very graciously accepted our offering and blessed us profusely.
Swami says it is a privilege to be born a woman, and that when we take our innate feminine capacities into the community, we have much more to share and give. Women are embodiments of selfless love and sacrifice is natural to us. These hidden powers have the capacity to transform not only our homes, but our work environment and the wider community.
My time in Anantapur campus, a lot of beautiful memory floats by when I think about it. One of the fondest memories of being in the campus is looking forward to go to Puttaparthi. And our trips to Puttaparthi was very much looked forward to by everybody because that's when we will get to see Swami. One such time, Swami gave us an interview. He blessed us with an interview. And in that interview, he started talking about how we should conduct ourselves in our in-laws' place. He was talking about how we should be with our mother-in-law and how we should behave with our husband. He started giving examples, in fact, in his most humorous way. He was saying that if your mother-in-law is not happy with you or is angry or upset with you, do not immediately retaliate. In fact, in his most funny way, he stood up like that and he made an action of grabbing a rolling pin. He said, if your mother-in-law comes with a rolling pin, do not grab another rolling pin and go behind her. And he actually showed the action and it was extremely funny and all of us started laughing. It was actually a very poignant message that we should not retaliate. And he also said that, anything can be changed with love. If you're loving and kind, everything will settle. And he said that get a good name in your in-laws' place. When they all think that, oh, what a nice girl that we have received, then that is the time when Swami is going to be so happy. He said, your mother-in-law may not come and tell you, oh, how good you are, oh, how nice you are, or I'm so happy with you. But she might think in her mind, when she thinks in her mind that, oh, wow, what a beautiful daughter-in-law I've got, what a nice daughter-in-law I've got. At that time, Swami will know, he said. So Swami will know when people think good about us, and nothing misses his view. And when he talked about husband, he said that, say your husband comes home late someday, do not just badger him with volleys of questions saying, why were you late? Where did you go? What were you doing? Don't just ask him at the door. Let him come in, let him sit down, offer him something to eat, ask him, would you like to eat something? Would you like to drink something? Can I bring you something to drink? And then after he is relaxed, then slowly ask him, where were you? Why were you late? What happened? Then the answer will come, he said. And that's how he explained so beautifully all this beautiful relationship advice. And when it came to chores at home, he even said that, when you are sweeping the floor, think that you're sweeping away all your negative qualities. And when you're rolling the rotis, think that you're broadening your heart. Roti is the Indian bread that when you roll the dough, it just gets broader and broader. So he said that when you're rolling the roti, think that you're broadening your heart. And till today, when I make rotis at home, Swami's voice just comes back to me, where he says, Hridayani visalanka chesko, he'll say, means broaden your heart.
My humble salutations at Bhagwan's lotus feet and loving Sairams to you all. The 3-year state Anantapur campus has taught each one of us many life lessons. The inspiration that we derived from several around us in the campus has shaped our lives in many different ways. What strikes me the most is the entire ecosystem revolved around Swami. He was the center of everything that we did, right from the morning prayer, the academics, non-academics, self-reliance activities, you name it. The underlying current was Swami, and that's what made us unique and united. Talking about inspiration, all of us, especially at that young age, look out for role models. Needless to say, Swami himself was our role model. We also had several people to look up to as we grew up there. In specific, the teachers and the warden, all handpicked by Swami himself. The dedication that the teachers exhibited was par excellence. Many of them stayed with us in the hostel, and we were in close quarters with them. As I play different roles in my own life as a mother, wife, daughter, SSC teacher, I connect to what I have learned consciously and some unconsciously. The first thing that comes to my mind is that they practiced what they preached, which brought out their own conviction of Swami's teaching. Some of them were very young teachers who joined the college as lecturers after being a student themselves. Simple things like being on time, not wasting food, appropriate attire was just a norm at the campus. The sincerity with which they approached the academics was just amazing. They gave in their best, went that extra mile to ensure the students had good understanding of the topics. The second thing that really strikes me is how well prepared they were for not only the academic classes, but also for the co-curricular and the non-academic activities. Sports meet, one of the biggest events of the year, and the amount of preparation and planning that goes into it months ahead of time is just incredible. No compromises whatsoever. I'm able to relate to this as my own role as an SSC teacher. The third is disciplining with love. The teachers and the wardens so beautifully did this. They never missed an opportunity to correct us lovingly and bring us back to the track with reasoning, as character building was their main focus. The patience that they exuded was another big lesson for me. As a mother and an SSC teacher, I relate to this more and incorporate this on my daily basis. As I strive to become a better person myself in all different roles that I play, I thank Swami profusely for the wonderful opportunity that I had to study in his institute and constantly remind myself of the lessons that I learned.
Born in Sai family, and Baba had been an integral part right from childhood. I was very much used to Swami's picture in our altar, and that was my to-go place where I can go and pray whatever I wanted, and most of the time it used to get fulfilled. So it was like a wish fulfilling treat for me. So being part of Sai family and Sai organization was not new, because during my childhood days I used to observe my grandparents and my uncles and aunts very actively participating in Swami's Seva activities and Sammiti activities. But the real of spending time at Swami's feet, observing him in action and hearing to his discourses happened in my degree. Now came the challenge of integrating that omnipresent form with the physical form, because the form which I was always going to and asking in the picture, which was fulfilling my wishes, I was seeing in life, which was unlike to any other god's pictures like Rama, Krishna, Shiva. I have not seen them in real life. So this was a challenge to me, So in those millions of devotees, I always used to wonder if he even knows me. It was a process for me to come out of that what I was seeing, the physical form, and see his grandeur on a grand scale. So after listening to his discourses and millions of devotees and all around sharing their experiences, my teachers' experiences, I could go beyond the form and see the full glory of Baba. So then I stopped entertaining the thought that if he even knows me, to something like feeling the gratitude of being aware of his avatarhood, of his divinity, and being part of it, being present at his feet, and having been given the opportunity to to witness them, all the events, all those 3 years. And I was very grateful for all that. I still am. And the most important thing that stuck me was, often he used to say, my children are my property. So again, I would say entire world is of course his children. But if you look at in a different angle, of course, we students think that we have been given the opportunity to be part of that of our institute, and so we consider that to be a great honor that God has given us. So that has really stuck with me even after my years beyond my college. And so now whatever life decisions we make him to be the one behind the steering wheel, who knows exactly how and where to drive our life, and also not compromising in something we hold very dear, that is our life, self-respect, dignity, honor, and also independence, things like that, compassion. Of course, there will be bumps and jumps, but as a student of Swami, we make sure that our life represents his message.
Today I'm going to talk about 1995. This was the year Bhagavan Baba's 70th birthday celebrations were happening in Perth. And there were many special events were planned as part of this birthday celebration. So the day before the wedding, Swami, when he was going back from darshan, stopped near our warden madam and he gave her some very clear instructions. So Swami told her, get 70 Telugu speaking girls. And what Swami wanted was, he wanted each one of those girls to sit near those 70 couples, so that they could do the role of a translator. And when the priest was giving some instructions to the bride and the groom, Swami wanted these girls to help these bride and groom. The next day, we all got ready and we were so happy to witness this beautiful wedding ceremony. And then we went to the mandir. So the mandir was very festive, was very beautifully decorated. Each couple, there was next to each of those couples, there was a priest. And our senior akkas, they also went and sat with them. And then, the music started, Bhagavan came, and, he went around the whole Anantapur group. He blessed us, he gave us Pada Namaskar. And then he went and blessed all these 70 couples. And Swami distributed clothes. He gave, jewels to the gold chains to the brides. And Bhagavan also that day presented 70 sewing machines to these couples so that they could use that and earn a livelihood. It was such a beautiful event to watch. I was so touched by Bhagavan's love.
Sairam everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion today. Before we start the discussion, I would like to share this small story that is given in the book Tapovanam, and this happened in the year 1976. A lot of deers from the adjoining forest of Madhumalai, they strayed into Vrindavan, and a nice place was given to them in opposite of the Trai Swami's residence, and Swami used to feed them apples and he looked after them with love. And one day, when Swami came out of the Trai to give darshan, all the Swami students, they saw Swami and they ran to Swami. And at the same time, all these deers, they also saw Swami and they rushed towards Swami. When Swami saw this, actually he told to one of the devotees who was standing next to him, Swami actually he pointed at these students and he said, "These are my two-legged deer." And then pointing at the deers, he said, "These are my four-legged deers and both are very dear to me." So the topic for today's panel discussion is being near and dear to Swami. And today we have our panelists who are very fortunate and blessed to study in Swami's Institute. Today, to begin with our discussion, could you please share some of your experiences that brought you closer to Swami? And we can start this round with Sister Anita. And Sister Anita, can you also please share that Swami's dream, what you had, which made you join the panel discussion?
I am blessed to have studied at Swami's College at Anantapur campus. And during my stay at college, I had some wonderful experiences and good memories, which keeps me very near and dear to Swami. As our sister Sathya mentioned about a dream, let me just give you a quick summary about the dream. So when we all, our alumni sisters came together for the Aaradhana Day preparation, we were getting a choice of either picking up a video for 3 minutes or be a part of a panel discussion. And I was in a dilemma and I filled up the Google form with the video at the last moment. At that night, after writing Likitanam Japam, and I fell asleep. And in the dream, I had Swami, and Swami is sitting right in the chair. And there are 5 girls sitting around Swami. And I'm telling something to Swami. So in that context, that's it. The dream was only that much. And when I got up in the morning and I thought, maybe Swami wants me to be a part of the panel discussion. So I quickly reached out to Jayaka and told her that I want to change my decision from video to the panel discussion. So now now let me narrate an experience which is very dear to me. So when we were in our final year and we were the outgoing students, and usually every outgoing student gets a interview with Swami. So our batch prepared a couple of songs like Humko Tumse Pyar Kitna, Tallivi, Tandrivi, Nive, and so on. There were around 5 or 6 in the list. So after the offering, Swami looked at Jaima ma'am and Swami said, "Oma Oma Pata Leda," which means Oma Oma song you did not sing. And Swami gladly and lovingly told all of us to sing that song. We immediately started to. Swami was in bliss and he was enjoying. After the song was completed, Swami came to Jaima ma'am and said, "Seva, na pillalu enta chakkaga paderu. Chala Santosham. That means my children have sung so well and I'm very happy. I will narrate another experience. So during my final year again, I fell sick and I was diagnosed with jaundice. So I had to travel with my father to my hometown for the treatment. So one of my physics lecturer, Mrs. Dwarka Rani ma'am, she came to know about this, my travel, and within 30 minutes, she went home and prepared some double boiled rice for me and got some hot water and came directly to the station where we were waiting for the train. So what I feel is Swami had sent Dwarka Rani ma'am to take care of me because I was very sick and I was not supposed to eat outside food, and travel was around 24 hours travel for me. This is an assurance from Swami that he takes care of us no matter wherever we are. So God is neither distinct or not distant from you.
Such a sweet experiences that you narrated, Sister Anita. Something similar experience. I also had a good fortune of getting to know Swami in that close quarters. So as we used to, once it so happened in '94 that we did not have summer course and we had to go. We were all very upset and sad that we did not have a chance to attend the summer course. So at that time, it was during the June-July Guru Purnima time that Swami had arranged buses and he called all the girls from Anantapur campus to come to Vrindavan to participate in the celebration there. So it was, we were also ecstatic and rushed to, oblige and just be a part of the whole celebration, that we complied with all the requests. We were put in a Kalyana Mandapam, had to be absolutely pin drop quiet and maintain silence at every point in time because Swami's residence was nearby, and prepared a couple of songs. We observed the protocol, observed the ideal behavior that Swami was expecting, and finally at the last day we were given an opportunity to present songs just the way you, Sister Anita, presented the songs. We also had to sing Oma, and we also sang Talli Vine Tandri Vineve, You Are the Mother, You Are the Father, and a couple of other songs that pleased Swami so much. And he was truly elated. He was joyous, like this loving, sweet mother who was so proud of her children's accomplishments. And then finally, when Swami came and talked to one of our classmates, he said, "How was the program? I really enjoyed the program. But how was all the arrangements? Were you all fed properly and taken care?" And so on. And that sister said, "Swami, thank you so much, Swami. You've taken great care of us." And immediately Swami stepped back and he just put her down and he said, "Hey, why do you want to say thank you to Swami? Mummy ko thank you kehta hai. Do you say thank you to your mother?" So that shows the closeness that Swami is to all his typed students. In fact, the whole world are his students, and Swami is close. When there is this close, as Swami says, heart-to-heart connection, why this formality? So this is a beautiful incident. I go back in time whenever I have to feel that closeness to Swami. Saira.
That was beautiful, memorable. As Sister Anita referenced to the interview with Swami for outgoing students, I would like to share my memorable interview with Swami as an outgoing student. So that was in my second year. Swami called us all to Puttaparthi for the interview. So before that, we all gathered. We wanted to prepare. If Swami called us for the interview, then what we should give him as a token of love and gratitude. And so we all came up with the idea of slippers. So many people had different ideas. We finally said that it had to be something soft, furry, and beautiful with vibrant colors. Then all the girls said that, "Akka, you know the local language, so you can go to the town and then get it to permission from Jayama Madam." With two other undergraduate students, three of us went to town. So we were looking, "Swami, how we should go about that? Please help us." And there comes a cobbler. He was sitting on the roadside. We asked him if he could help us. And he said, "Yes, I know Swami." So the next day when we went back to him, he told us that anything that is furry would be a rabbit skin or any other animal skin, So we didn't want to present that to Swami. So we need to come up with another idea. Okay, we can do it with the satin cloth on the bottom and the top would be with wool. All the girls who were outgoing were able to take part in that particular task. So we made the slippers and then we made a pillow, and everything was going really well by Swami's grace. And before that, when we went to the cobbler, he asked us for the size. And so we described Swami that he is 5 feet and he has very feminine feet and very soft and small feet. And so he came up with the number as 6 with that. And imagine us putting Swami, like sizing him up. He is Anuraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, and we cannot really size him up. But then we came up with the size number. He really made it very well. We made the pillow ready. And so there comes the call from Swami from Puttaparthi saying that all the outgoing students come for tomorrow's darshan and I will give interview. We all had a meeting. I asked the question, so who should present it to Swami? I suggested, I think we should all go and then request Jema Madam to present it to Swami, and they all agreed. I think that was only fair. And so next day morning, sat in the darshan line, and there comes our Swami with a smile. So all of you are here, but I am busy today. That's what he says to us the first. So then we all screamed, Swami, please. Then he smiled at us and then he walked away. Then we all knew, I think every Anantapur girl or any student knows the calling card for Swami was Sai Gayatri. So we all started doing Sai Gayatri. After we prayed, Swami comes out. And then he says, okay, all of you go for breakfast, come back by 10:30, be seated in the mandir and I'll come and speak to you. The pillow and then Swami's slippers on top and then the songs that we prepared for Swami, that booklet, everything I had in my hand. And so the idea was pass it on to Jema Madam. And so we were seated, and so when Swami came in, he asked us to move to the front. So in that moving, it so happened that I sat next to Swami. And then Swami looked at us, and Jema Madam was sitting next to me, and then he looked at us, and then he said, oh, you have something for me. So I had to get up immediately and then give that to Swami, present it to Swami. And Swami looked at the slippers, and then he said, oh, these are so beautiful. And then so we prayed to Swami, please wear them. And so Swami said, yes, and I can wear this in Kodaikanal and Ooty because it's going to be cold over there. And then he took the slippers, put them, and then he said, oh, they are really soft. Then he pressed on my head and blessed me with so much of love. I felt as if that love was being passed to all the students that were seated over there. That was a memorable, very, very memorable experience for me with Swami. Thank you.
That was really divine memories. To continue with the divine memories, with Baba's divine grace, I was born into a Sai family. So for me as such, it's not one particular experience that brought me closer to him, but I just feel the closeness we all have is from past, from many births we travel. So when we were kids, mother once told us, if you all behave good, Baba will perform miracles in our home. And lo and behold, it happened. Vibhuti, Amrit and raisins used to get materialized right in front of us during bhajan time. So as a child, I was so fascinated by all the miracles. And once in the interview room, my mother asked Swami, can you please give these children admission in your school? And for that, Swami said, not my school or your school, it is our school. And so as promised by Swami, I was very fortunate to study at Swami's primary school and at college, where I enjoyed his divine love and grace. Swami performed my engagement in the interview room, got me married and sent me to USA. And during that time, he materialized golden Ganesha locket and chain, which I wear all the time. It was as if like a mother sending the boy of the family to protect the girl when she's stepping out of the house. And after I came here, that's when I became even closer to him, or rather I should say, experienced more of his presence. There were several situations that I faced which brought me to his close proximity. He was always there by my side, guiding me, protecting me, and lifted me up through every ordeal. At the same time, it was a very good opportunity for me to put his teachings into practice.
Thank you so much, sisters, for this wonderful, soul-stirring experiences. Now, based on these experiences, Could you all please share what was the message Swami conveyed to you all, or what are the life lessons that Swami taught you all?
Yes, lessons I learned, when he said our school, I realized and I learned the oneness of all beings. And secondly, I learned that he lets us go through our karma while standing right beside us and holding our hands. I learned to grow through these experiences. Everything that looked like a puzzle and made a very good sense in a bigger picture for me. All that happens is for our own good. Antam and Manchiki. He plans, he executes. We just have to go with that flow and learn lessons from them and awaken ourselves spiritually. I learned non-attachment, surrendering to him at all circumstances. As a student, I remember one thing that teachers had mentioned to me that why we are here in Parthi, in Swami's University, and not for his sake, but for our sake. And later in life, I realized how true that is. So I sincerely bow down at His feet for this opportunity.
I have learned and then improving myself in those are empathy. So Swami taught us to empathize with others, not just human beings, but with any being that is there out there that we come across. That was the first lesson that I learned from him. And then do your duty diligently and silently, sincerely, then he himself will come to us. We don't have to ask for his coming to us. He will come by himself. He is drawn to us at that point. And the third one that I have learned is accept life as is. Don't always question that. And the life will go smooth. So we'll be stress-free at that point.
So for me, if I have to connect with the first mother incident, I know that if you have a very strong faith in Swami, your intentions are good and noble, and your desire is selfless, something which is more for the greater good. Swami makes sure that he will try and fulfill it. So, as Sai students, we had to go to at a time to Brindavan, obey the discipline, make sure that every single act is dedicated to Swami and make sure that we are pleasing him. And it is so beautiful when Swami comes out, acknowledges, and he says that I know exactly your intentions, I know the pains, or I know the struggles that you guys have gone through to come this far, adjusting in very cramped place and situations, and I really thank you. So it is that gratitude that we want to show to Swami. So anytime whenever we are feeling down, we just have to make sure or hold on to one incident that gives us that warmth and happiness, and we know that Swami's connection and our connection is an eternal one, as Sri Lakshmi Akka said, and it's there forever. It's not going to be broken. It's going to be there for another generation. So our situation or our life examples should be an inspiration to everybody.
The lessons that I have learned from my experiences, as I shared 2 experiences, that Swami is our loving mother. He takes care of us, he protects us, guides us through this ocean of samsara. So always be grateful to Swami. As Swami says, if you honor your mother, so our universal mother is always there to guard you and protect you against any harm. So he is the doer and we are just the mere instrument. And secondly, I learned is to surrender our mind to God completely, and he will take care of it every way. So have faith and patience and always do the duty, whatever you do, with full devotion and dedication. And third lesson that I learned is we should have no desires to place before God. So whatever he does, however he treats us is the best gift that he wants to give it to us. So I quote, as Swami says, love lives by giving and forgiving, self lives by getting and forgetting. So love all and serve all.
Swami taught so many life lessons, like, how to empathize all the beings around you, how to be grateful to Swami and to totally surrender to Swami. And also when our intentions are good and our desires are selfless, so Swami will make anything possible. And his Swami's grace is like insurance. So in time of need, we have that without any limit. And also, it's very important, one of the life lessons Kalaka was sharing, that when we do any Swami's work, we should do it silently. Our actions should speak louder than our words. And let us make our lives as his message. Thank you for this beautiful life lessons. Last final round. We'll show some pictures, and any that thought comes to your mind, or any bhajan or any word, you can just please share. So cap him and catch him.
Yes, Sairam, this is the one that I was talking. These are the slippers that I was talking about. This is what we made and gifted to Swami as a token of our love and gratitude. And Swami graciously wore them. He is the hero of my life, and I think everybody's life. He's the hero. Yeah, this is the sports meet that I think when I was in second year degree, Swami invited Anantapur campus to join the sports meet in Prashantanilayam during the Pongal time. So that was the first time, and that's when it started. And so here I'm reminded of Swami's quote, take one step towards me, I'll take 1,000 steps towards you. And he does that.
Oh, this is during our sports meet celebration, and I'm sure that this picture is probably was shot much before my Anantapur days, but it's definitely heaven on earth, the sports meet celebration and all the fun that we do around that time. This is in Swami in our Anantapur library. Almost reminds me saying that, you have to go within to search and know me. No amount of bookish knowledge is going to give you the experience. Swami is seated in our Anantapur auditorium. It's almost like a master, director, creator of the universe watching his creation at play.
This reminds me of our interview for our outgoing students that I have shared the experience. So this is our final year's interview, and Swami is taking Aarti from Gemma ma'am, and we all girls are sitting around there. This is our sports meet in 2000. So after the sports meet, we all girls rushed to Cycle Bandh Hall to take a picture with Swami. So Swami says, life is a game, play it. So we were all in a hurry to take picture with Swami at Cycle Bandh Hall. So this is the sports meet in the Hillview Stadium. I am with the one of the pink girls, pink dress, and Swami is towards my right side. So, and Swami is standing there and blessing everybody. After the sports meet, Swami came down from the stadium and giving us blessings there.
Baba adds color to our life. Swami is eternal beyond time, Palatitaya, and his love lives on.
Looking at all these pictures, I brought you back so many wonderful memories, right? The student life. And I think we all are really very humbled and grateful to Swami for giving us this opportunity to study in his Swami's Institute. And on this auspicious Aaradhana Day, as daughters of Sai, let us all strive to make Swami happy. And let us intensify our spiritual sadhana. And let us practice all these beautiful life lessons what Swami taught us. And let us become more nearer and dearer to Swami. Thank you all. Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, I offer my humble pranams at divine lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan Shri Sathya Sai Baba. Today, we are so excited to present the updates from our recent YA retreat. In light of events happened during the last few months, a group of YAs had an idea of doing something related to social justice. And around that time, Akshay uncle approached them and said that there has been a group of devotees meeting regularly and doing a study circle on social justice. With the help of resources from the study circle and experiences shared by YAs, we came up with the theme Social Justice through the lens of Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Sometimes we get confused thinking, what is the role of spirituality in society? Let's see what Swami says about spirituality and society. As you can see, here it says equitable distribution of resources, not equal distribution of resources. Swami says, "You hear nowadays of equality, of each being equal to the rest. That is a wrong notion, for we find parents and children differently equipped. When one is happy, the other is miserable. There is no equality in hunger or joy. Of course, all are equally entitled to love and sympathy and to the grace of God. All are entitled to the medicines in the hospital, but what is given to one should not be given to another. There can be no equality in doling out of medicine. Each deserves the medicine that will cure him of his illness." Thomas Jefferson, the author of Declaration of Independence, once said, "There is nothing more unequal than the equal treatment of unequal people." Here, in this wonderful visual, it clearly explains what it means. In this picture shows two parts, equality and equity. In the first part, giving three individuals an equally sized crate to stand on without considering their original heights. While it's equal, but it's not particularly helpful or meaningful. In the second part, when we take equity into consideration, someone with a smaller stature is afforded two crates to stand on, helping this person be able to see the game more comfortably. As you can see, there is a third category in this image, liberation. Like the image suggests, liberatory practices are those that dismantle the sources of inequity in the first place. When we remove the fence in front of them, they can watch the game without any obstacles. That will be the goal we are working towards, the liberation. Over to you, Brother Ananda.
Thank you, Sister Harmishri. As Swami says, understanding and then adjustment. So we began by exploring some of the inequities in our society. For one, healthcare disparity. Data shows that African Americans are more likely to die prematurely from a number of different causes, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and stroke, regardless of age group. Additionally, pregnancies have carried a significantly greater risk for African Americans, both for mothers and for infants as compared to other races. Now, one of the major contributors to those heightened mortality statistics may be adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs. Research indicates that African American children are subject to more childhood trauma on average than other racial groups, be it physical, emotional, or mental. Having provided some context for social disparities that we observe, it was now time to set the tone of reflection by turning the lens inward on ourselves. Taking an implicit association test early in the proceedings allowed us to focus on our own, perhaps subconscious, thoughts and actions. The implicit association test, or IAT, is an exercise based on the idea that biases are part of our nature. We all have certain backgrounds and experiences, things that are familiar and unfamiliar to us. The images shown here are from the race bias test, where pictures of African Americans and European Americans had to be associated with words of either positive or negative connotations as quickly as possible. Any hesitations in accurately matching the words with pictures as per the instructions could indicate a preconceived bias about either group of people. This initial activity itself led to some thoughtful insights from our participants, including the notion that prejudice can sometimes come from one's own fears and insecurities. Self-confidence, especially the kind that Swami talks about, where one is aware of one's own divinity, can help prevent us from externalizing our fears onto others. Additionally, this was a test-taking environment, limited in terms of scope and stress. In real-life situations with heightened emotions, it is important to observe and modulate our thoughts and actions. With these early insights and more, the IAT became an important tool for reflecting on our own experiences. If each of us carries inherent biases, then it's no wonder that society at large treats people differently based on these very same biases. Note on this chart that the rate of incarceration for African Americans in the US is almost 2 times that of any other group. But this set of charts tells a much more complete story. Despite white Americans and black Americans using and selling drugs in nearly equal measure, black people are far more likely to be arrested and jailed for the same behavior. Having examined biases, it's easy to see how each person brings their own prejudgments to the table. And when multiplied over a large population, we see some real societal effects of these judgments. Overall, this introductory exercise shows the link between something as personal as the thoughts we have and something as societal and global as how we treat one group of people versus another.
As I mentioned before, inspired by Sri Sathya Sai Baba's message, love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never, as well as their own desire to better educate themselves, a small group of cross-generational, multicultural devotees met regularly and did a series of study circles. Here are the few thoughts they shared during this study circle. First, let me tell you a story. There was a king who was bothered by two aches, one in his stomach and other in his head. He was examined and treated by a number of medical experts and consumed a lot of medicines, but his aches persisted. At last, one yogi arrived and he spoke very kindly to the king and said, the fault to be in his eye. To improve the eye, see only one color. See only green, he suggested. The king got together a lot of painters and purchased a lot of green color and started painting everything in green. When the yogi came back after a few days, he saw everywhere painted in green. Yogi went to the king and told him to see everything in green. All that was needed for him was to wear green glasses. It was absurd to attempt to paint everything in green. We can apply the same principle in our lives too. If we change our vision, we will experience peace. So, how can we correct our vision? We can start correcting our vision by correcting our ways to serve society. Only when we adapt and enhance the vision by understanding the community, we are going to do a meaningful service. We should engage in conversation with other communities. We do a lot of sevas like soup kitchen, serving sandwiches, etc. But how many of us has talked to those people and figured out why are they in these situations? A lot of issues between the different communities and ethnicities are happening due to unfamiliarity and lack of knowledge about them. We should be cognizant of nation and the people who live in that nation. Try to learn more about their story and their practices. Be an example, being in right path. Otherwise, what is the use of telling we are following spiritual path? What do you think, Ananta?
Harmishri, I'm so glad you mentioned the importance of being an example. After all, Swami has stated that the present is a product of the past and the seed for the future. When viewed in that light, no moment in time is isolated from any others, and every action matters. Not only that, but he also says that ourselves and our society are inextricably linked. That is the integrated worldview to strive for, that the pain of others is just like the pain of self. In this modern day and age, we have a golden opportunity to be aware of so many different cultures and religions from around the world. We have a chance to expand our views and really try to see others as the inner God that we all have inside us. This combination of wanting to educate ourselves about issues in the world while being aware of the divinity that underpins it all is what made this retreat special. And that brings us to the core of the retreat, the discussion rooms.
After watching the videos from Study Circle, we had great conversations and discussion among ourselves. Our discussion rooms were quite diverse, representing YAs and adults from various backgrounds. Many YAs shared their own experiences and views on these inequalities and racism in our society. Here are a few points we discussed which we can practice in our daily life. Not just seeing everyone equal, but also learning to respect the differences in people. We always talk about seeing everyone equally, but as we said before, we should understand the differences in people, and we should learn to respect those differences. Only then we can make some changes in this society. Address the biases towards different communities and be aware of microaggressions we commit. Microaggressions can be intentional or unintentional, sometimes even well-meaning, but they communicate hostile or negative racial messages or assumptions to the receiver. Now, let's see what are few examples of microaggressions we see regularly in our daily lives. A person asking Asian American, "You speak good English?" Clutching your purse when a black or Latino approach towards us. A person of color mistaken for service worker. Being too cautious or rechecking your cars are locked when you go to a minority neighborhood. Now, some of you must be thinking, "I'm not a racist, I have black friends." Actually, this statement equates racism with prejudice. You may not be racially prejudiced, but knowing black people doesn't keep you from engaging in discriminatory behavior or failing to challenge racist practices. Saying "I can't be racist" is denying a larger social context in which all of us are living. It is not about our individual intentions. It's also about our collective work. So even if we have best of our intentions, as long as we are supporting racist policies and ideas, all of us can be racist.
There continued to be a real focus on self-inquiry and understanding how we can improve the environments that we have control over, such as ourselves, our family spaces, and our PSI centers. Although we have made efforts to make our PSI spaces more welcoming to outsiders, regardless of their background, we acknowledged and discussed the ways in which we can still make strides. From personal experience, participants of different backgrounds and paths to Swami shared about the power of service activities as an introduction to the PSI group, as well as how much of a difference a simple welcoming gesture and approach can make to a new center member. Not only can we make our own spaces more accepting, but we can also work to bridge the gaps in understanding that we have with other communities. Having already acknowledged that bias is universal, many discussions focused on ways to cut through our preconceived notions. Swami's repeated messages to us about the underlying Atma in everyone, as well as real one-on-one relationships with people unlike us, can help us view others through a lens of unity rather than differences. These discussion rooms were a safe space and a brave one, as YAs shared past experiences with being marginalized and discriminated against. These stories have helped many of us empathize with those who suffer prejudice in the world today. From their own experiences, many young adults understand that love is the core action that counters hate and division. Sharing Swami's love with others is not only how we live his message, but is also how we make society a better place.
Even though this year's retreat was a virtual one, I really liked being a participant in it. The cultural program offered by Bailey Sisters was so heart-touching. They talked about Swami's teachings, long history of civil rights movements, and also about hardships faced by African American people during that time through musicals. And I also had a lot of fun by playing Pictionary. What about you, brother? Did you have fun?
Sister, I have to say, I had so much fun. I really have to thank the organizers, moderators, and every participant for bringing the energy and making this virtual retreat feel so lively. I mean, whether it was trading raps about Swami and social justice in a break room, to playing Bhajan Antakshari style games just like we would when we were hanging out in person, I really came away from the retreat feeling like I had interacted with all my young adult friends. And as if all the wonderful content wasn't enough, we even had wise words shared by our regional president, Balu Uncle, as well as a warm and thoughtful interview between Dr. Akshay Kalatia and our very own Group 4 student, Josh Reed. Balu Uncle shared from first-hand experience how Swami managed to accomplish so much societal change, all the while never shifting his approach from love first and foremost. Swami was able to change minds by changing hearts, from the source, as he says, rather than by force. The exchange between Dr. Akshay and Josh touched on several salient points as we recalled some of the foundational teachings that we've heard from Swami for so long, but are as relevant now as ever. It's really a powerful thing to remember that, despite appearances, we all do have the same divine spark, and that all religions, languages, and ways of worship are paths to a common goal. And finally, with all of this spiritual wisdom in mind, the YAs were split into geographical groups in order to use all of the fresh inspiration toward a real service project in their respective locations. Over to you, Sister Harmyashri.
Group E decided to work on social justice education. Their first step will be self-educate by starting a book club, which will include a lot of books and documentaries to improve knowledge about their other communities, races, and religions. And gradually, they will arrange community meetings and continue discussions about social justice among YAs and SSC groups. Group B decided to work on community outreach program. They will be partnering with Unitarian Church to participate in their service activities, and they will invite them to join Sai Center service projects as well to help create a sense of community. They will be starting this project with YAs and establish a relationship with the other communities, and eventually they will invite other Sai members who are interested to join. Their next step will be associating other organizations to widen the community outreach. Group C's project is Sai Center Inclusivity. They will be working on to increase social justice awareness among YAs and center members. They will review center activities and introduce new ideas to create an inclusive space for people of different communities and faith.
Group D decided to focus on forging a connection with organizations that are already doing great work in the realm of social justice. Partnering with these experts will help them understand more about existing problems and solutions. By creating and continually updating a database, these YAs will be able to help their Sai communities better engage with their community in meaningful ways. And finally, Group E honed in on supporting educational efforts by first connecting with school counselors to identify needs. Schools may have a variety of needs, ranging from manpower to supplies to monetary help for families to tutoring assistance for students who need it. Once the specific need is assessed, these YAs can work to organize and deliver the appropriate service. After all, even Swami poured so much attention into education as a means for spiritual and social progress.
Let's read a couple more messages from Baba. This is one of the favorite quote among the YAs attended retreat. When evil and injustice and violence are being perpetrated, if individuals look on unconcerned, they must be regarded as accomplices in the crimes. In the end, they also suffer as much as the criminals. By their passive association, they provide encouragement to the evildoers. It is the duty of all God-minded persons to plunge into society, protest against the evil rampant in it, and try to reform it to the extent possible. Only the person who is competent to undertake such a task is fit for social service. You must acquire this competence. Baba.
And here's one last quote from Baba to really drive home the link between spiritual progress and the betterment of society. Social justice and spirituality are closely related. Spirituality is conducive to social justice and egalitarianism. And with that, Sister Harmishri and I would like to offer our gratitude to all the organizers of this wonderful YA retreat. From the national and regional YA teams to our awesome reps and advisors, Brother Sumant, Sister Alikya, Geeta Auntie, and Brother Andrew, to the moderators and organizers who helped make it a smooth and enjoyable experience, and finally, to everyone who brought so much of their genuine selves to the proceedings. But most of all, we owe a deep thanks to Swami. It's his will that allowed all of us to be able to engage in satsang together, and he continues to give us opportunities to use all of his teachings to make the world a better place. Thank you for letting us share this summary of Arya 2021. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, dear brothers and sisters. In honor of Swami's 95th birthday, the Asheville group presented a multifaceted project to our region's Seva coordinator. Subsequently, it was selected as part of the Adopt a Community program regionally and nationally. Our goal was to identify a community with numerous needs which could be addressed and supported by a diverse set of Seva opportunities. The project is multifaceted and will require many competencies and wisdom from our Sai community. In order for this initiative to be successful, a collaborative effort will be required involving participation from many devotees. Through our love and dedicated service, this project holds the potential for a transformational experience for all. I invite you to enjoy a bird's eye view of the Elida campus. The community we were directed to was the Elida Home for Children. Elida Home is located in Asheville, North Carolina on a 300-acre campus surrounded by the Appalachian Mountains. Elida has served the needs of the most vulnerable children and youth in Western North Carolina for 118 years. It is the oldest nonprofit organization in Western North Carolina. Elida's mission is helping children succeed. Unlike other facilities in the United States, they provide a cradle-to-career continuum of services for over 700 children and youth annually from birth to 25 years of age. Elida was originally an orphanage and a working farm. The children grew their own food and cared for the animals. Recently, Elida has returned to its farming roots. They are now able to serve the children fresh organic vegetables and fruits. A learning lab was created to teach the children about farming and gardening. Each week, the students have classes with a campus farmer. They thoroughly enjoy planting, harvesting, and eating what they have grown. In addition to a hands-on farming experience, there is an animal therapy program which includes horses, a llama, goats, chickens, and barn cats. The Equine Therapy Program provides animal-assisted therapeutic activities for high-risk students with behavioral and emotional problems. These activities are designed to build emotional awareness, interpersonal skills, self-confidence, ability to focus, impulse and anger control, assertiveness, and empathy. Elida has made equine therapy a community-based service. It is now available to all children and youth in the region. Historically, Elida has adapted to the needs of the community. Transitioning from an orphanage, Elida developed foster care programming when there was a nationwide shift away from the traditional children's home model. As mental health issues in children came into greater focus, Elida also developed state-of-the-art residential treatment facilities and expanded foster care services to include therapeutic foster care. As women entered the workforce, Elida added childcare and preschool services. In Elida's recent history, they recognized that youth were aging out of foster care and failing in traditional post-secondary education. The organization, once again, adapted to meet this community need with the Elida Students Training for Advancement program known as ESTA. This program provides workforce development programming for this population of youth, as well as housing assistance to prevent homelessness.
I was having a really hard time. My adoptive mother had put me out during my senior year, and the mix I got pregnant too. We were having to sleep on couches and move place to place. There would be days I'd come in just stressed out, crying, not knowing what to do. So I didn't have any help. I had a son coming, and I had to get it together.
There are times when we have to call up our family or people that we know and ask for help. For these students, that's not necessarily an option for them.
I just told them my situation, and they really just started helping me out bit by bit.
Oftentimes what we're seeing with students starting the program is that they're facing severe housing instability. So we address their housing needs, their food instability, their clothing needs, their education, their mental health needs, and anything else that could potentially be keeping them from getting and keeping a job. Jeanette is one of our students that utilizes our emergency shelter program, and they're able to utilize that for 3 to 6 months to help them until they're able to find permanent housing solutions.
And they moved me to the apartment, and slowly I just started getting stuff together, started working and feeling better about myself.
Each student is able to identify for themselves what are their needs that they want to have addressed.
When I got here, my goals were first to get in a stable living situation with my newborn son, and they've helped me apply to childcare places. They help us make resumes and being able to apply to jobs. Now I'm just trying to work on getting me a car and hopefully getting into school. It was nice having support.
You can be smart, you can have all your ducks in a row, and then life happens. Obstacles are going to come. It's how you clear the hurdles. To be able to handle the things that she's handled, if I didn't know the story, you would never know she had a story. It gave me so much joy to see the growth in her. No matter what those challenges are and what they have been, her light never went out. Never.
Since being in the ESTA program, I've definitely just felt more confident about myself. I was really going through it and dealing with my depression and anxiety, and having a good support system is really important. That's really helped motivate me. I feel more stable. I feel like I have a better chance of making it out in the world with my son.
In partnership with families, Elida meets basic needs and provides education combined with positive child and youth development programming for all ages. Elida also has high-level intervention and prevention services for children and adolescents that focus on social and emotional well-being, life skills development, career readiness, and trauma-informed treatment. Elida maintains a 5-star development center, childcare, after-school, and summer camp, residential and day treatment, mental health programs, foster care services, and workforce development programming.
My name's Lauren. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. I was born and raised. Christmas wasn't really the best growing up, to be honest. I started off in foster systems. That was the first place I went. And then that didn't really work out necessarily, so I went to the Elida homes. And there I had some of the best Christmases. Even to this day, those are some of the best Christmases I've had. That was the time I actually got presents that made me feel like somebody valued me. That was the first time I actually was shown the value in giving somebody else something as well. Because it wasn't just, unlike everybody else just thinking about them, they taught me that it's about everybody around you. They taught me the connection between people and the importance of establishing good connections with good people. It was there that I really forgave my mom, not just for what she was doing at the time, but for leaving. Because for a while I was very aggressive and angry for a really long time because of it. Because I didn't want to get close to people out of fear of the abandonment that I had already felt. And they taught me how to get past that. They taught me that sometimes people come and go because going is the best thing. Not for me all the time, but for them too. Honestly, I do. I think a lot of the people, a lot of the therapists and the counselors that I talked to and that I was given the chance to be with because of the fact that I was at the Elida home. I could have been a lot of different places. There were a lot of possibilities. And that was the best chance that I got. And honestly, I consider they saved my life. And so now, when I think of Christmas, I don't think of just my mom's birthday, and I don't think of a sad day necessarily. I think of a chance to start something new.
After numerous meetings with the Elida administration and staff, needs were identified for the staff and children. It became clear to us that the Psi community have been given this great opportunity to help and to serve. Every child deserves a solid foundation based on love and human values. The lack of this foundation will result in a child or adult that is not successful academically, socially, or in the workplace. The child will never reach his full potential for happiness and success. So our primary initiative will be the education in human values training for teachers and staff. When this suggestion was presented to the Elida administration and faculty at a meeting with our regional Seva coordinator, this opportunity for this training was embraced with complete enthusiasm. They were excited about a program for the children based on peace, love, truth, nonviolence, and right action. They recognized how deficiencies in these values resulted in disruptive behavior and social tendencies and failure to communicate effectively and appropriately with their mentors and peers. Academic mediocrity or failure is often the end result. Another major of concern to the administration is the relatively high rate of turnover by members of the staff. Major factors responsible for this are lack of job satisfaction, a general sense of overall staff mismanagement, lack of breaks, injuries incurred at the hands of the children, and last but not least, burnout. Now, burnout can be characterized as a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion caused by long-term commitment to emotionally demanding situations. Coupled with a devotion to a cause one is passionate about, often expected results are not forthcoming. Clearly, one of the roots of this problem is dealing with varying degrees of disruptive behavior in the children. It would be our expectation EHV training for the staff and value-based education infused into the educational as well as all other activities of the Elida community would mitigate this problem. Furthermore, we recognize the need to develop a program to address the pressing problem of burnout, for which there are no apparent strategies in place. The plan we devised is comprehensive. The first step is to create a support group for staff. This platform will provide the opportunity for sharing experiences in the workplace, as well as how one is affected from an emotional and physical perspective. Core issues leading to burnout can be recognized. Consequences of burnout range from being subtle to severe. Secondly, a major goal is to develop strategies to help staff rediscover purpose and bring forth enthusiasm. We envision a wellness program to address this issue. It would include some or all of the following: group activities such as bonding and team building, nonviolent communication workshops, mindfulness discussions, meditation instruction, music, art, and dance therapy, yoga, nutritional workshops. We would develop a speaker series which would include inspirational presentations on relevant topics and facilitated focus skill training sessions. Members from the community at large would be invited to participate in all these aforementioned areas where they can share their expertise in addition to the contributions of our Psi family. In our preliminary discussions with leadership, a meditation room was suggested. Our organization would be an integral part of the design and build out of this space. This quiet area would give employees who work directly with the children the opportunity for inward reflection. With a holistic approach of support for body, mind, and spirit, we trust staff will be empowered to better serve the children of Elida.
Numerous projects will be developed to support the needs of the children. A remote tutoring program with YA tutors from Region 3 has been organized and is in progress. A health fair to screen for common health issues, followed by a medical camp, dental screening, and eye examinations would be most beneficial for the siblings of the Elida children, parents, or guardians who are not insured. The children who are enrolled in Elida programs are covered under the Elida umbrella. A healthy lifestyle and nutrition component would complement the camp. Also, a sports day has been suggested to our menu of projects and activities. Group 4 students, along with YAs, would have the opportunity to organize and facilitate various sporting events and team competition for the Elida children. Group 4 could participate and compete in the events as well. The majority of these initiatives were put on hold because of the COVID pandemic. All established Elida programs and services for the children have continued through lockdown. Unfortunately, the campus remains closed to most volunteers at this time. When the campus opens, we are confident our volunteers will be safe. We are prepared to move forward and embrace the Elida children and staff with love. In the meantime, Region 3 quickly responded to the wish list of items requested for the children. Donations of essential items have been sent from far and wide, including the Virgin Islands. The Asheville group has received and delivered school supplies, books, computers, coats, clothing, games, toys, art supplies, hygiene products, and disinfectant. Supplies such as blankets, sheets, and towels have been provided for the guest house utilized by parents visiting their children who are residing on campus. In spite of the COVID lockdown, several service opportunities became available. The director of the ESTA program, Elida Student Training for Advancement, identified a pressing need for a nutritional workshop for unwed pregnant teenagers and young mothers. We were able to satisfy this request in an area outside while respecting all of the public health safety measures. In addition, my husband and I received training through the ESTA program to be mentors. We have been working with a young lady who is an unwed mother of a 2-year-old child. A tutor was needed to help her prepare for high school equivalency test. A YA from our region volunteered and has been helping her prepare on a Zoom platform. In conclusion, we are immensely grateful to Baba for leading not only our small Asheville group, but our greater Psi family to the Elida home. He has given us all numerous opportunities to serve. Our concerns for staff, students, and potential remedies hold a promise of hope. Most importantly, all of the programs outlined hold the possibility of transformation for everyone involved. As Baba told us, when we are serving another, we are serving ourselves. May our collective Psi family hear his call. May we expand our hearts, follow his guidance to serve, and bring love in his name to the Elida home community. Thank you. Jai Sai Ram.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా, నా పిల్లల యొక్క పరిస్థితి నాకు తెలుసు, కానీ మరొకరు తెలియదు. నేనెప్పుడు మీ జంటనే ఇంటనే ఉంటుంటాను. మీరందరూ కూడా ఐకమత్యంతో పనిచేయండి.
Work with a feeling of unity.
నా సీటు ఇక్కడ కాదు.
Bhagwan's seat is not here.
నా సీటు మీ యొక్క హృదయమే.
Bhagwan's chair is your heart.
కనుకనే మీరు ఎక్కడ ఉంటే అక్కడ కూడా స్వామి ఉంటున్నాడు.
Swami is there wherever you are.
ఏ కొరతలు మీకు జరగవు.
Nothing will happen to you.
ఏ విధమైనటువంటి అపజయాలు మీకు జరగవు.
You will never have failure.
కానీ పరిపూర్ణమైన విశ్వాసంతో మీరు పనిలో ప్రారంభించండి.
Work with a total faith.
ఏ పని చేసినా కూడా ఇది భగవత్ కార్యంగా భావించండి.
Whatever you may do, good work, take it as God's work.
Sairam. The word Aaradhana, derived from the ancient language Sanskrit, means to worship, to adore, to serve, respect, to please, and to idolize. True to the word, today's program, starting from the morning prayers to the devotional sessions and to the special offering by the SSC, the YS, and service updates, every single event clearly demonstrated our deepest love to dear Swami. Our sincere gratitude to Mrs. Shamantakamani Bhasham, affectionately addressed as Mani Auntie, for making this Aaradhana Day even more special with a recount of some of the most precious moments and memories of interacting with the Divine Lord. We are truly honored to have heard from you, Mani Auntie. Thank you. And what a treat it is to hear from Anantapur sisters on the Loving Mother Sai. Thank you. On behalf of the entire regional team, our most loving Sairams to all the volunteers, the moderators, and the media team who worked tirelessly to put this beautiful offering together so that the entire region could reconnect with our source, our beloved Bhagwan Sri Sai Baba. Thank you. We are almost at the end of the program. We'll be concluding today's Aaradhana program with the closing prayers to follow next. Thank you. Loving Sairams to all.
जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्त जना संरक्षक भक्त जना संरक्षक करते महेश्वर ओम जय जगदीश हरे शिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा आश्रित कल्प शांति 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 समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
Sai Ram, Thought for the Week. Consider the meaning of the name Sai Baba. Sa means divine. I means mother, and Baba means father. Your physical parents exhibit love with a dose of selfishness, but Sai, your divine mother and father, showers affection or reprimands only to lead you towards victory in the struggle for self-realization. For this Sai has come in order to achieve the supreme task of uniting the entire mankind as one family through the bond of brotherhood. His task is to affirm and illuminate the Atmic reality of each being in order to reveal the divine, which is also the basis on which the entire cosmos rests. It is also his task to instruct all to recognize the common divine heritage that binds one to another, so that you can rid yourself of the animal and rise into the divine. I had to tell you so much about my truth, for I wish that you contemplate on this and derive joy therefrom. I wish that you may be inspired to observe the disciplines laid down by me and progress towards the goal of self-realization, the realization of the Sai that shines in your hearts. Divine Discourse, June 19th, 1974. Baba.
परमं पवित्रं बाबा विभूति परमं विचित्रं लीला विभूति आत्मैष्टार्थमोक्षप्रदानं बाबा विभूति विनमाश्रयामि sacred holy and supreme is Baba's vibhuti pouring forth in brilliant stream his play of vibhuti so auspicious is its font it grants liberation Baba's vibhuti its power protects Sai Baba's vibhuti its power protects me.
La verdad y el amor brotan de tu palma como el brillo del sol, ilumina el alma, siempre dando a la vida nuevas esperanzas. Bríndanos tu gracia